No, straight question.
Now let me
straight question.
Factually
hang
wrong.
on, let me.
Okay.
Hang on.
Factually
I actually don't disagree with your assessment, right? I do think Israel has exercised a control over the people of Gaza ever since they said they ceded control to a government. But let me ask you one question before you finish your answer, which is this. Hamas. There can be no doubt that Hamas was given billions of dollars, a lot of it encouraged by Netanyahu, given billions of dollars, which they did, in fact, squander, which they did squander to the detriment of their people, which they did by building all these tunnels, right? And which they did in the end when they invaded Israel on October the 7th, they knew absolutely what would happen. And therefore, in that moment, they sentenced to death tens of thousands of their own people. Would you quibble with that?
And don't forget, their leaders are billionaires. Their leaders are billionaires.
I will actually, with all due respect, because I respect the facts, I'll quibble with everything you said. Number one, the money that went into Gaza, mostly from European countries and other international organizations, they monitored where the money went very carefully. They weren't about to endow Hamas. There's no evidence.
How did Hamas build all the tunnels?
I'll tell you.
Well, how did they afford to?
They don't have one penny of accountability.
I'll come to you.
Not one penny of accountability.
I'll come to you to respond.
Okay, allow me.
I will challenge both of you, but don't shout over each other.
Not one penny of accountability. He's living in an alternate universe.
European governments and many of the international economic organizations, the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, UNCTAD, UN Conference for Trade and Development, they all put out on probably a quarterly basis very precise reports on Gaza. None, and I've read all the reports over 10 or 20 years now, 17 years, none of the reports have claimed that the catastrophe, the economic catastrophe in Gaza, has been caused by Hamas. None. Now, if you claim that you have more expertise in the subject than the IMF and the World Bank and UNCTAD, well, you can believe that. I personally don't believe that. The claim of all of these international respected organizations is the main source, the root cause of the catastrophe in Gaza prior to October 7th. The root cause has been the medieval blockade that Israel imposed on it, and which Human Rights Watch, just in November 2024, a month ago, Human Rights Watch described as, quote, a crime against humanity.
Okay, but how did
the problem.
The problem is how did Hamas afford to build all these tunnels?
You know, Piers, I never quarrel with facts. I'll give you an honest answer.
How did they afford it?
He's going to tell you there's no tunnels in a minute, Piers.
Well, I think the amount of tunnels has been vastly exaggerated, but I'll admit I can't prove that.
Right.
I've talked to civil engineers in Gaza about the possibility Israel claims 450 miles of tunnels. I find that totally incredible.
But there are billions of dollars worth of tunnels. You accept that?
I don't know. I'm not a civil engineer.
He wants Hamas to remain in power. That's what I do know,
I'm perfectly willing to discuss. What I don't know, I'm not a civil engineer. I can't answer. What I can say is the following. Let's get back to the question of what's happened in Gaza. You said Israel is in a war with Hamas.
Yes.
So has the other guest in this room.
Yeah.
My name is Fleur.
What is your name?
Fleur.
Fleur. So has Fleur. Let me ask you a simple question, okay? If you're at war with Gaza, why are you shooting children in the skull and in the chest? The New York Times published an article on that, came under a lot of flack because they published that article. They said we can't refute the evidence. We have the x-rays in front of us. They're shooting children in the head, in the skull, and in the chest. If you're engaged in the war in Gaza, why are you killing journalists? Why are you killing medics? Why are you killing UN workers? If you're engaged in the war with Hamas, why is it that Human Rights Watch just this past week put out a report? They tell people where to flee. They say, go to the safe zones. Human Rights Watch says, when the people are directed, they're being shot at the road.
But are you seriously saying, but hang on. Let me respond.
When they get to the safe areas...
I understand. I've already made that point.
Israel drops 2,000-pound bombs on them.
I've made that very point.
Does that sound like a war?
No, I've made it.
Or does that sound like a genocide?